brings us to the idea of the company and the commercial philosophy of the future, where we say in the heart, if we want to win the heart of the future consumer, we need a culture that's open, positive, and authentic. Our goal is to create ambassadors among our clients and among our employees. And we, as managers in such a company, we have 4 things to work for. It's about the customer experience. Do whatever we can to create a top customer experience with every department. You know, if you're working in IT, in legal, in marketing, or in service, we're all responsible for the client happiness. The second one is conversations, managing the conversations, listening to people. It's about content marketing. It's about working together. But it begins with the bottom. It's the foundation of positive word of mouth. The things that we are doing. And one of the things that I'm a little bit worried for in the new digital world, in this part of the story, is what I call service schizophrenia. You know what I mean with that? You see that in many companies, that you get different service levels, depending on the source. Like for instance, when in Belgium, when it's snowing, suddenly when it starts to snow, all the planes are grounded, of course. And then in Brussels airport, there's one person behind the Twitter account, and she's doing a fantastic job. But when it starts to snow, all those planes are grounded. Then you have a lot of people in an airport with a phone and with a lot of time, so they all start to complain. And then you don't have the resources to tackle all that. And then the question is, how do you start replying? Where do you start? Which person do you help and which person do you don't help? And the answer is very simple. They look for the people with most Twitter followers, which is fantastic for me. I always get great service everywhere where I go. But on the other hand, I only fly maybe 6, 7, 8 times a year. And maybe one of you who works in a big company starts today on Twitter after this presentation, but you only have 5 followers, and you tweet to the airline and you say, when is my plane scheduled? And they don't reply you, but maybe you're responsible for a team of 200 people who are every day on a plane, you know? But you don't get help, and I do. And that's a difficult one to tackle. How can we avoid service schizophrenia? Because it can also have a negative impact. The second one are conversations. Can we listen to what people are saying in a structural way? Can we capture data from the internet to see what they are saying about our companies? How can we facilitate positive conversations? And can we join the conversation as well? And I want to show you an example of things that are happening in this world today and that are sometimes scary for companies. We're all aware, and we all know the company Thomas Cook, right? The tour operator, the travel company. In Britain, you have people with the name Thomas Cook. And that person one day decided to write a message on the Facebook page of Thomas Cook. And he said, look, dear Thomas Cook, I have the same name as your big company. People are laughing with me because of that, you know? They think it's a silly name. So I think after 26 years of being laughed with, it's time for some compensation. I had a weekend in Paris in mind. What do you guys think? And then the question is, this is on Facebook, you know? It's like in a football stadium that Mr. Thomas Cook is asking that to the company Thomas Cook, and the world is watching. What do you do? What do you do when you see something like this? Who would put this guy on the first train to Paris and make sure that the press is also available? Who would look for all Thomas Cooks in the world and put them on a flight to an exotic island and do that every year as the National Thomas Cook Day? I think it would be the best advertisement in the world. Who says, over my dead body? Well, because what will be next, you know? Nobody dares now to say, over my dead body. But Thomas Cook has a policy. They have rules for that. And the rule is very simple. We don't give away free holidays. So they write that here on Facebook. Hey, Thomas Cook, great to hear from you. Unfortunately, we don't do that, free holidays, but we have good news. Check our website to find the best available prices. Enjoy your day. And then, of course, they forgot to take into account that Mr. Thomas Cook doesn't give up. And Mr. Thomas Cook says, there's a misunderstanding here. I'm not looking for a free holiday, I'm looking for compensation. That's something completely different. He's probably a lawyer who was playing with the wordings in a smart way. You know, it's not free, it's compensation. And because, you know, as I mentioned, people are laughing with me because of my name, but next to that, I'm talking about your company every day in my life. And if I'll calculate the media spend that you owe me, you actually owe me £338,000. So I think we're not going to discuss anymore about a small trip to Paris. Don't you agree, guys? And then you can imagine behind the scenes at Thomas Cook that they think, oh no, come on, guy, give it up. I have more important things to do than to think about these issues. You were not on my agenda. Probably things like that happen. The management needs to decide. Forward to the management. And they think, that's not important. So there's nothing more from Thomas Cook. But at the same time, in a smaller company in the UK called lowcostholidays.com, they are watching this. And they are looking and they're saying, is Thomas Cook really not going to do this? Well, if they're not doing it, maybe we should step in. And that's exactly what they did. They said, hey, here at Low Cost Holidays, we've seen you've been in debate with Thomas Cook. First of all, we completely sympathize with you. If your name would have been lowcostholidays.com, there would be no doubt about it that we would send you around the world, you know. But yeah, you know, some people have all the bad luck in the world, so your name is Thomas Cook, and apparently there's a crisis there at Thomas Cook because they're not answering you anymore, so we feel that you have been Thomas Crooked. You know what, we will solve this problem. We will send you to Paris. A weekend is way too short for the things that you have been through. We'll make it a week and take a friend with you. What do you think? And this is, of course, a fantastic moment where the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that Thomas Cook got on a plate in front of them, they missed it, but on top of that, their competitor took it, and the whole world saw it. Because those guys took screenshots like crazy, they mailed it to all marketing bloggers in the world, and they all loved it, and it was on websites all over the world. It's in my book, it's in this presentation. So they used the PR in a very smart way. In the old days, you could say, being Thomas Cook, this is reputation damage, so we will do whatever we can to attack the other guys. In this world, the best thing to do is say, as Thomas Cook, thank you, Low Cost Holidays and Thomas Cook, for teaching us a lesson. We now fully understand that we need to treat our clients and specific cases in a different way. Enjoy your trip to Paris, and let us know when you're there, and if you want, we will give you a treatment in one of the best restaurants. But we feel very humble in this situation, so thanks again for teaching us this wonderful lesson. Believe it or not, but that's the smartest thing to do at this moment if you're Thomas Cook. It's the only way to restore it. If you go to the other way and you say, full attack Low Cost Holidays, you make this even worse. Then people will say, look at them, they're bad losers. We will never fly with Thomas Cook anymore. So the damage in reputation will increase. And that's what we need to understand. We're in an open world, and the world watches what companies do in a situation like this. Then we have content. Remember, we have 28% of our clients who want to talk about us, but they're not doing it. The same for 40% of our employees. We need to give them something to talk about. That means that marketing and communication teams need to adapt. And this is a typical communication plan of an average insurance company in the world. We have 2 or 3 big communication moments in the year, and the rest of the time we are preparing them. And we need to change that just a little bit, and we can keep those big moments, of course, but we need to fill them up with sparks of communication. Sparks of communication that add value to the consumer and are not talking about our products all the time. And I want to show you some trends in that. This is an example from Kraft, one of the bigger advertisers in the world and one of the bigger food companies in the world. They decided to decrease the budget in product placement in cooking shows, because they say, well, we're playing like a side role there. We're going to create our own cooking channel on YouTube, and every day we're going to put a recipe there, a movie with a recipe. Only a 2-minute movie, doesn't need to be hours and hours and hours. Small, cheap, pragmatic. But they have 13 million people watching that channel. That's more than the average number of viewers of any TV show in the world. And all the pictures of the recipes, they put it on Pinterest. Pinterest is one of those cool new social media sites where you can share pictures. If you look at the pictures of the recipes, I was really surprised to see them, because what is missing on those pictures? The product. The product is not there. Can you imagine that one of the biggest advertisers in the world is placing content on the internet without any form of commercial information, just helping clients with cooking? This is their new website. Look at the new Kraft website. The product is gone. It's still there, but it's the last tab page of this site. When people want product information, they can have it. But in the old world, on the homepage of Kraft, there was like a jar of mayonnaise there. It said 20% less calories than that jar we had here 6 months ago. And then you have to wait another 6 months, and then they put a new jar of mayonnaise there, with a new label this time. Consumers don't want to visit a site where you only have a jar of mayonnaise standing. They want to visit a site where they can find inspiration, where they can find help. If I go to a site of an insurance company, I want to find help in prevention maybe, because that adds value in my life. And this gives me a reason to come back. If you look at the new Coca-Cola website, the product is gone. And next to that, text is gone. Have you seen it? There's no text anymore. It's all photo and video. Maybe we will need to fire our copywriters and hire designers in the future. We're going back to the times of the Stone Age in terms of communication. No more text, but pictures. People don't read anymore online. They screen things and they look at pictures. How far are we away from that? But this is content worth sharing. And then we have the last step, it's collaboration. Maybe the most extreme form of customer centricity, because we bring people in the organization and we ask them to participate. And maybe, can we find consumers who are willing to help us? And we have to also find, from a legal point of view, ways to make sure that this can all be organized. Have you heard of a company with a wonderful name, Giant Nerd? It's one of the growing e-commerce players in the US, and they focus on extreme sports gears, expensive bikes, stuff for mountaineering and things like that. And what they have done is thought about a model where all customer service is outsourced to the client, where R&D is outsourced to the client, where sales is outsourced to the client. So the only thing they do is facilitate a community of people and ship products. But they ask their clients, for instance, to, when they bought a product, to write a review about it, like Amazon does, so that's not that spectacular. What they also do is when a client has a question, they ask a person who has bought that product to answer the question of that client. So they have no salespeople answering questions. They use other clients to help clients. And you know what we said about word of mouth, that increases the level of trust. And then you can wonder, what is the motivation for people to do it? Well, they invented something like nerd dollars. The more active you are on the community, the more nerd dollars you get. And nerd dollars are like virtual money that you can use as a discount for future products that you buy. So they're motivating people with incentives to help in the community. They also have Genius Build. That's a community where you can improve products and work on new products, and together with the team and other experts, create new products. And to make sure that they don't have negative publicity, they work with a 365-day return policy. No questions asked. If you don't like your bike anymore, send them back and we will give you all your money back without any form of discussion. And that's something that I think examples like this are sometimes scary for people who come from the offline world, because if you look at companies who are most advanced in this form of thinking, it's all the e-commerce players. Booking.com, Amazon, Giant Nerd, Zappos, they all are extreme in customer centricity. They use technology in a very smart way, and they use their client base as a form of advertisers and salespeople in a very, very smart and efficient way. And they never debate about service. It's a new model, but if you succeed in this, you're not talking about clients anymore. You're talking about employees who are not on the payroll. It's a new concept. Can we find employees who are not on the payroll? Formerly known as our clients. If we succeed in that, it's fantastic. So to summarize the future of the relationship with a client, I use this slide. It's about creating a fantastic customer experience, and that fantastic experience creates the context in which clients will be becoming ambassadors, but also employees who are willing to help us and they're not on the payroll. We need content to give people something to talk about. The conversation is important to listen what people are saying and to react in a positive way. Remember the Thomas Cook case? That's managing the conversation. In their situation, not managing the situation. And collaboration. Where we can, let's collaborate with our employees, let's collaborate with our clients. That's the future for me of a commercial relationship of any organization. And that's what I call the conversation company. It's the title of my last book. And for me, it's a metaphor. A conversation company is a metaphor for a very extreme customer-oriented company that uses the power of word of mouth, both among employees and clients, and uses the power of digital media as an amplifier and a tool that helps us to do things that previously weren't possible. But that's the future company. And my advice is, if you look at this, start changing now and start adapting to that philosophy now.